why'd you guys decided to go into the franchise model?
I mean, it's brutal. It's a weed out system. You're like $250,000 out before you can even sell your first franchise. I don't know many people that have the courage to go through just that process alone.
You close one deal and you have to get another deal next month, right?
Starts at zero every month. We were talking about this on the Uber ride over here, by the way.
Our success as a franchisor is predicated on the success of our franchisees.
We have so many people that get to year 1, year 2, year 3. They're frustrated. They have a ceiling. They can't break the ceiling. They can't get through it all. They don't know what to do. Well, had they had Joe Homebuyer franchise, had they had assistance, had they had the right system, the support, the process, could they have made it? Our bet is yes. Consistency outperforms the person that knows it all, right? Consistency. Like there could be someone that doesn't know much, but if they stay consistent on the right habits, they will outperform the people that think they know it all and taking very little action, right?
I'm very excited for this new episode that I brought you guys here with the REIpreneurs podcast because these two guests are people that I tried to get in the podcast before when it used to be called Online Hustlers. And I'm very happy that actually we were able to make it this time because it's in person. I get to actually see them. They're here in Miami and they're actually big in the real estate investing world. If you guys have not heard of them, they own a company called Joe the Homebuyer. Is a franchise model where you can actually go into this franchise and you already are going into an operation that already works and you can just talk to them and figure out whether it makes sense for you to actually start a franchise as a real estate investor where you can actually build out your operations that way. So today in this episode, I want to dive in deep. I want to figure out how they actually made it so big. I want to really learn from people that can think outside the box. I also want to figure out exactly how everything works in the back end and what's in it for you guys. And then ultimately, if it's going to make sense for you to join any type of franchise, I want you to know every single detail of this. All right. So let's start into this.
Let's rock and roll, my friend.
All right, Cody, I got you here in this podcast now. And thank you for coming.
Heck yeah, man. We were down here in Miami and we're like, dude, we got to call Esteban. We got to get out here. We got to get on the podcast. We're down here. We got to use our time wisely.
I appreciate it, man. There's a lot of big players here in Miami. I know that you're coming for Justin Colby's podcast. Yeah. So you're going to be able to talk in that podcast. And you, it's the first time that we met. But it seems like you're in the back end, you're behind the scenes, but you're making sure the shit
This
runs.
guy's the beast, really, is what it comes down to. I'm like the trick on the stage. This guy's the guy that's making all the levers make it work. Like I'm the one that creates the problems. He's the one that fixes the problems.
So Steve Wozniak and
yes,
there you go.
Yes, and Steve Jobs. That's
Jobs.
Exactly it. That's Woz right there.
Wozniak and Jobs.
That's right.
So I want to dive into this because it's such an interesting model. First of all, Joe the Homebuyer. How long has it existed already?
Fall of 2019, so we just hit 5 years. We've got some great franchisees. We started, Brent Daniels actually is one of our franchisees. He'll tell everybody he's our first franchisee, but he's like our...
He mentions it all the time. He's like, I was the very first one. I think he's number 3. But we'll tell him number 1.
He was
Brent,
early.
if you're watching, you're number 1, bro.
Yeah, we have a deep relationship with him, and it's been fun to help support him and his team as he knocks it out of the park with coaching. But yeah, 5 years now. It's been quite the journey.
That's amazing. So right now, how has the franchise model evolved? What's about franchisees that they will find special about this model right now compared to when you guys started? How's that model has evolved so far?
I think of it kind of like a bookshelf, in the sense that we had all the different framework, but maybe the books were scattered. They weren't alphabetized. They weren't stacked nicely on the bookshelf. And over the years, we've been able to really package things in a way so that it's easy to find a resource for the franchisees. And just, our collective data so that we can provide more value back to the franchisees because we're in several markets. So we're learning, we're continuously growing both in data, but experience. And then just the quality of our franchisees continues to be enhanced. And so you just take, just with anything, 5 years of practice, you just get stronger and better, and your community gets stronger. And a lot of any success we've had, frankly, is because of just the quality of franchisees that are part of the system and helping us grow and become better.
That's amazing. So you guys have been going at this for a few years, and not everyone has a franchise. Not everyone actually I want to call it, has the balls to start a franchise
Yeah.
model? Because I'm assuming it's very, very hard. What are the challenges that you guys have, and how many franchises do you guys have?
Yeah,
right now?
current number. Well, let me get to the price real quick, and then current number will even bring that up. But like, you're like $250,000 out before you can even sell your first franchise. Like, you've got so much attorney work, FDD, like so much regulation that goes into this. It's almost like compared to, I think maybe a lot of your listeners maybe have tried going to school, and you go to your first general education. And it's like, why am I even doing these classes? This makes no sense to me, right? And it's almost like weeding you out to get to what you really want to learn and what you want to study. These first classes are awful. Same thing with starting a franchise. I mean, it's brutal. It's a weed out system. I don't know many people that have the courage to go through just that process alone. And then you back it
And
with...
to clarify real quick, not to buy a franchise, but to start a franchise
just to
system.
start the
Yeah.
franchise system, yeah, you're out of pocket that much just to get the paperwork to be able
That's
to
right.
sell a franchise. That's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's brutal. It's nothing easy. However, here's the bigger picture when you look at it. Think of everything you do for your business. If you don't have a true passion behind it, or if you have a true passion behind it, you'll do everything you can. You'll move heaven and earth to say, hey, I've got to get this in the hands of those out there. Same way we feel about our product is it has blessed our lives so much, enhanced the lives of our families, that it's almost an obligation that I feel upon my shoulders that you do whatever you can to bless other people's lives. And so the franchise system is there to bless as many people's lives, but more importantly, to collect the right people together. So it's not made for everyone, but there is a culture, there is a fit, there is a specific person we're looking for to become a franchise. But it's all a result of, first and foremost, what real estate has done for our families. We want to make sure that if there's more Cody and Marks out there that are looking for how do I get into real estate, that they now have a proven process to get them there, and it's our obligation to bring it to them through Joe Homebuyer.
I love that. So it just sounds that you guys build this company and this franchise model around your core values,
Oh, absolutely.
Well
right?
said.
And you attract people that share the same type of core values. Are ultimately going to be a cultural fit. It's not like you're gonna, just because they have money, you're gonna allow them to use your name, because that will not be a fit. And they're probably not gonna be having a good time. You guys are not gonna see the results that you would expect from that individual. So, what type of people usually come to you guys or join the franchise model and are able to start a real estate company with you?
Yeah.
Well, I love the question, and I love that you were able to sense that core values are important to us, or that we're trying to attract, because this franchise isn't for everybody. We have our 4 H's for our 4 core values, and I think we really try to attract leaders, aspiring business owners, and achieving, women and men that want to have an impact based off of our 4 H's, and it's hunger, heart for others, humble, and honest. And this is one, you can't have one without the other. I mean, you have hunger without heart for others, you could really be dangerous, right? I mean, if you're just ambitious and, the heck with anybody else, I don't think that that's the right ingredients. And so really our 4 H's complement each other. It's really fun to see. And one of the most rewarding things I think Cody and I could say is seeing our franchisees become great leaders. And the results of that are dynamic businesses.
That's amazing. So, are mostly the franchisees ex-business owners from their own business, or they're coming, they already have a W-2 job, or what's their history behind most or majority of your franchisees?
Great question. So just like everyone, I think of like your business model. There's people that are looking finally to like scale. They're sick of wearing all the hats, right? And so they can tap into your products of how they can have an executive assistant managed out through the VAs, through the systems that you have, your headhunting skills that you have to do that, right? Same thing with us. Those that are a good fit are the ones that are already in the game. So what Joe Homebuyer is not, it's not built for those that are looking to do their first deal. There's great coaches already out there. I mean, we have an ocean of great coaches out there that teach how do people do their first wholesale deal or fix and flip or rental, right?
Like Brent Daniels.
Brent Daniels. Brent Daniels is a perfect alignment, right?
Yeah.
To go and scale a business isn't the same as getting someone their first deal. Like, we need someone to already believe, A, they can do it, they have done it, But now they're ready to like say, hey, I'm ready to take this to a business that serves them, not just them always serving it.
Yeah.
That's not a beginner. A beginner needs to go through the hardship, the struggles that come with just real estate investing in general. So we're not built for that. But once those that are already in the deal, so done maybe a handful of deals, let's say. There's a gentleman by the name of Mike Gorius. He bought a Kentucky franchise. He had done just a handful of deals, probably 3 deals maybe to be exact. Sure. And he was at an event and someone had popped the name Joe Homebuyer. He goes and looks it up and he books a call. He didn't talk to the person there about it. All he did is just book a call. And then in short time, he became a franchise owner. Well, last year was able to really grow that into something special and turn that into a business his first year of being with Joe Homebuyer. Now, why? Because he already believed in it. He knew he wanted to do it full time. He had already done some deals and he was just a hungry, driven, humble, heart for other, honest individual that was ready to just scale their business to the next level, and we were able to do that.
That's amazing. So guys, let me tell you that I do want to make sure that people that watch this not only can learn from you guys, but also feel inspired, because it's very, very hard to truly scale a real estate wholesaling, real estate fix and flip business to other levels, right? I feel like we're always playing the acquisition game, the never-ending acquisition game, because for majority of the wholesalers, you close one deal and you have to get another deal next month, right?
Starts at 0 every month. We were talking about this on the Uber ride over here, by the way.
And obviously, there is companies that they've been able to come up with technology or a marketplace or many different ways to scale this to have monthly recurring revenue, just become a company that is more sellable to and just ultimately have more predictability.
Yeah.
Obviously, we've seen that a lot of wholesalers, fix and flippers can create a very sustainable acquisition system, but still hard to scale. So I want to go back to the history of Joe Homebuyer a little bit. So you guys were a regular shop. Located where? Where were you guys located?
Salt Lake
City.
Yep.
Okay. I like that market. The market is actually very tough.
It is a very tough market.
It's a very tough market.
It is not an easy market.
When we run ads there, we're like, okay, look, the cost per lead and the cost per acquisition, it's going to be fairly high.
Yeah.
You understand this,
Yes.
right? And actually, we've been successful with a few clients, but they had to mix up Utah and Idaho.
Yeah.
And then, the costs were able to get better.
Average out.
But I like that. So it started as a one shop. And I'm assuming at some point you guys decided, well, we got to scale this business, right? Like there's many ways. Like to me, you can have a licensing model. You can build technology, right? You can have a franchise. You have different private chains, ultimately, right?
Yep.
So why you guys decided to go into the franchise model?
Because it's been the challenge of a lifetime. It's welcomed in the sense that we love to grow as entrepreneurs. We love that it's requiring us to become, better business owners and everything else that comes with that. But why did we do it? Because we really like the model of franchising in the sense that our success as a franchisor is predicated on the success of our franchisees, our partners. Those that we collaborate with, those that we invest all this time and energy with, they have to succeed in order for us to succeed. I just like that model. I like the buy-in. I like the mutual. Like it's an ongoing collaboration, and their success has to come first in order for us to be successful as franchise model. That model works for me.
Let me do a follow-up question, and maybe you can answer on your perspective too. What do you usually see from franchise models that exist out there that they don't really do that well? But what do you guys see that other franchise models, other franchise companies and brands don't do as well?
In my opinion, we're in the day in the life all day, every day. If you're talking about the big 1,000-pound gorilla of home investors, nobody there is in the, from the corporate side. It's been sold a few times, whatever. And again, they have a great brand, but at the end of the day, the CEO is not running a day-to-day operation, trying to find deals, master marketing, optimize acquisitions, optimize revenue per transaction. That's what we do. We operate 3 locations ourselves as corporate.
So much so that we opened a new market this year in Dallas virtually just so that we can continue to enhance how good we're doing things to make it better for those that want a virtual through our model as well. Because we have franchisees that are winning their primary market. Now they're like, how do I scale? Let's go to another market. But we'll even take it upon us first to go prove and see how we do it.
No, that's amazing.
So it's been fun. It's been amazing.
I just came back from Dallas. Texas is, do you believe Texas is still a big state where people should go and do the virtual model too? Is that why you guys chose?
We'll find out. We'll have data. Yeah, and it's already looking good. Yes. Like stats are already coming in. Marketing's only been turned on 6 weeks, is it?
Yeah.
6 weeks, right? And deals are already happening. So yes, it's happening. It's working. But it's also, it wasn't going in there blindly either. Like I want to be crystal clear. It's not going in there blind. It's looking where there's opportunity, where there's numbers, where there's a potential to be able to market to the sellers that we're looking for. But then talent plays a role in that, and then a system, a process. And so we've had Joe Homebuyer now for 5 years. So all we're doing every year is just making the processes better and better. And so right now you're only seeing, if you remember, John Maxwell spoke at Family Mastermind, right?
Yes.
And he spoke about there's always more, and there's always better. Meaning we're doing the best we can with what we have right this second, but it's just going to keep getting better because we're even committing ourselves to that first H of humble, right? We're coachable, we're teachable, always going to be finding better ways to do things better. We're always going to find more, right?
Yeah.
It was not really a blind choice to go to Dallas. There's definitely reasons there, and it's proven to be true. The other thing is a cool story behind Joe Homebuyer is this really is an evolution of just ideas along the way. So me and Mark start this company, and then me and Mark were down in Lake Powell one year. We're down on this houseboat. It was his houseboat at the time. He invited our family. We go down there, and I'm like, man, this is amazing, but I want to come all the time now. We need a bigger boat. And so we're going around the corner, and there's this massive boat, and I'm like, Mark, what the crap is that? That looks like a spaceship. He's like, oh, those are the
We're here in
greatest boats.
Miami, and he's thinking, I know big boats.
Yeah. You've got plenty of big boats here. But this boat, I was like, wow, what is this? This is a spaceship. And so he's like, oh, that's made by Adonia. It's incredible. Like, those are the bee's knees. Like, that's the one you want. And so on the way home, I had my wife pull out a journal, and I'm like, sweetheart, write this down. I'm like, we've got to do an event that pays for our share in owning one of these boats. And I'm like, I'm going to host a real estate mastermind down here. Me and Mark are going to host the best mastermind that could ever be held. We're going to have a 5-star chef, we're having this, and people are going to pay for a wonderful experience. We did it. We sold it. And we called this company Scale. And it was just simply teaching people throughout a mastermind how to scale their business. And then we're like, okay, now what's next? So really, Joe Homebuyer was just an evolution of just as business owners, we have all these thoughts that come to our mind and these visions that come to our mind. And then we have a great partnership where if a vision is put out there, Mark is really good at being able to see and saying, I like that one, or, oh, this one could be done like, yes, we can implement this one. And little by little, Joe Homebuyer was evolved.
Yeah, amazing. So do you guys have experience with franchisees in the past, or?
No, none.
How'd you guys?
None.
So you guys dove straight into this model,
Yeah.
right? When a lot of different people are basically doing the licensing, right? Like they put together a program and they're like, oh, you use my stuff, basically.
Yeah.
But you guys decided to be different.
To be completely different.
Completely different. And let me ask you a quick question. So Joe comes from where?
The name? Well, first off, I wanted the name Homebuyer to be in the brand. That was important to us, the Homebuyer. And Joe just represented, look, if the average Joe is willing to be unaverage in terms of the tenacity and the commitment that they make to themselves and to their business, that the average Joe can succeed with our model. So, and then we also wanted sellers to feel like kind of the home touch, just guy across the street stopping by. And that kind of is embodied in our core values. We wanted the sellers that we work with to feel like we're invested in their success, like a neighbor came by to help them. So there's kind of twofold with that, because our mission to complement our core values is improving lives by delivering creative real estate solutions. So this is the idea that, hey, you can make a lot of money in real estate, but do it the right way.
Wow, that's pretty good. I see that you guys are very, very strict and you follow your core values, your mission statement, because this is what's going to really create the culture that you guys need and attract the right people. At the end of the day, I mean, yes, you can make money in real estate many different ways, but if you don't feel good about what you're doing, if you don't really see something that is bigger than yourself, it's hard to stay in this space for a long time. Like, think about it. How many people can come in a year? How many people can turn into a wholesaler? Like thousands,
Yeah,
right?
sure. Yeah.
Because of
The barrier to entry is so easy, right?
barrier to entry is so easy. But how many people actually do stay for a long time?
Very
and
few.
and then they either change to another industry because they don't like it, or they become a coach,
Yeah.
or they, educator, whatever, right? So really, I see that whenever you talk about the core values, whenever you put a lot of emphasis on the mission, you guys want to create a long-lasting effect for every single person that comes here to work with the franchise.
That's right.
Okay, I think that's very, very important, because it's kind of like the same thing whenever you're onboarding employees. Like, we're gonna be here forever,
Yeah.
and it's gonna grow.
Here's a side note just to think of. You said something that like triggered my brain. How many people get into it? Barrier of entry, very easy. Get into the game, right? How many can stay into it? Very few. The stats to even stay past a year is already against you. It's like 90% failed the first year, right? And then of those that make it, the 10% that make it, another 90% drop off through years 2 and 3. Like, very few make it to where they can say, "Hey, we've now been in business 10 years." We just barely surpassed that this year, and it's we're like breaking these stats, which is like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. This is fun stuff. But how many people would have stayed? So here's the other reason for the franchise. With any business model, it always comes down to, is there a solution to someone's problem? If so, you've got a business on your hands, right? And the more problems that are more people that have this same problem, like, this is a game over deal. So that's the thing. We have so many people that get to year 1, year 2, year 3. They're frustrated. They have a ceiling. They can't break the ceiling. They can't get through it all. They don't know what to do. Well, had they had Joe Homebuyer franchise, had they had assistance, had they had the right system, the support, the process, could they have made it? Our bet is yes. And that's why we want to push people to it, saying, don't give up. It's an amazing life. It's just they lack maybe leadership, or they lack the skill set of how to hire and manage, and to not just delegate, but to elevate their team to go out and replicate themselves. It's a hard thing. It's not easy, but it's doable. And so that's what that's our whole point behind Joe Homebuyer is we want to prove it to people that, hey, don't fall out of love with it. It's been a big blessing to your life, but you're probably sick of wearing all the hats. We're the system that can show you how to now grow this into big business.
Love that. So let's say someone comes in and starts, hey, I want to dive into real estate. I want to do it full time. I want to go all in, and I'm gonna choose Joe the Homebuyer. What's the initial game plan to ramp up to, start doing the first few deals with your own system? Like, what usually are the things they put in place so that you can start generating money?
Well, for this business in general, I think it's a gift in the sense that I don't know of an industry that is so rewarding as real estate. But again, everybody that's listening to the podcast already knows that. So you're listening, you're in the right spot. But you have to remember, you're really a marketing and a sales company. What I mean by that is the lifeblood is you've got to get leads coming in. You have to have a source for communicating with sellers, people that can benefit from your service. And then you've got to have a dialed in sales process to optimize that marketing effort. So when a franchisee comes in, we build out a blueprint for them specific to their market, specific to their strength. So if they're not good at sales, then we need to help them hire an acquisition manager, leveraging the right hiring software to identify who they should put into their system. If they're good at sales, then maybe they're going to start out in the acquisition role, but they're going to use the Joe Homebuyer method to really optimize their acquisition efforts, their entire sales process, to drive as much revenue per transaction as possible. And we just customize the blueprint and onboard them to build out a roadmap that sets them up for success. And each model is slightly different based off of the market and the individual.
Some people don't want big business. Some people are like, hey, I'm fine with doing, get a couple people. Some people don't even want to have a big team. Other people are like, I want to take out you and Mark. I want to show the world that I'm going to use your own system against you and be bigger than you guys.
That's right.
Like, we welcome it. And that's why I love that you did break that down. It is a custom blueprint for each individual, because each person's vision and dream and definition of success is completely different. And so we cater to that, and we build out a map and a blueprint for them.
So how many clients, how many locations do you guys currently have?
80 franchisees. Right now, we're growing at a pretty decent pace. And so hopefully that number changes by the time people listen to this podcast. But we're continuing to grow.
Amazing. Yeah. What's the usual size of one of the franchise in terms of revenue or maybe profits? Obviously, that depends on the operator, I'm assuming.
Our goal for every franchisee is to get them into the 7-figure range, right? So we have some pretty ambitious goals internally of how to help each of our franchisees get to that level. As a franchisor, we can't make any claims. We can't even actually speak specifically anything outside of what
That's one of the downsides of franchising is they got you regulated, so you can't even share money claims.
yeah.
Right, that makes sense.
So our goal is to get them thriving, because once you get into those higher revenue tiers, it's because you've built out the framework, the foundation. And this business is lumpy. There's ups and downs. There's highs and lows. But if you can get those big months and those big years in revenue, you can work through the lumpiness of the business, the ebbs and flows. So we understand that. And so we really encourage our franchisees to get to a healthy level. And so there's nothing magical about 7 figures. We have some that are doing better than that, and that's recorded in our FDD, and others that are doing far below that as they're growing and building their foundation and scaling their businesses.
That's good. Who was your first ever franchisee?
Actually, it's a husband-wife couple in northern Utah, Jen and Corey. They're still with us. After 5 years, they renewed, so they've just renewed to be with a franchise to keep that relationship going. And their story is awesome.
Why do you think that they were so successful for 5 years? That's a long time.
Yeah. And 5 years with Joe Homebuyer.
Exactly.
Yeah. In a nutshell, they just bring so much. They really embody a lot of those 4 core values. I mean, they're really teachable, and man, they work hard. They have a lot of hunger, and they have hunger towards just doing it the right way.
Consistency outperforms the person that knows it all, right? They're very consistent individuals. They take action on the right activities, and they just, yes, do they still have to feel the ebbs and flows that come with business? Absolutely. But they consistently work through it, and they consistently end up being a top performer, top producer for our franchise as a whole.
I was actually talking with my business partner about this, because sometimes we're fools. Sometimes we think that we know everything. But also this quote actually, it really resonates with me, because a focused fool can achieve more than a distracted genius.
Yeah.
And how are you guys able to just help every single client of you guys so that they stay within the KPIs, the things that they need to do, the habits that they need to build out? Because it seems to me it's very important for you guys to create that environment and that culture, and maintain that culture. How's that done?
For example, Thursdays, a day that I get on with all the franchisees collectively. We're on a Zoom call and we work on personal development. Like, that's a habit. We just do it. We make sure we do it. And every time I'm asking them, make sure that we have like a power hour every single day. This is not just a Thursday call. You guys now, every single day besides this call, like, go out there and be a student. We have to always maintain that white belt mentality, right? That we're always learning, always becoming better, being a master of our craft, so that we deliver magic. You don't just want to be in the industry to be in the industry. Like, be the stellar, be the one that's like incredible out there. And that's what we help our franchisees strive to do. And then everything's tied back to a habit. So if we can tie everything, so think of your deepest beliefs will result in your daily habits. So we have to work at a base level with their belief system. Some of them, they may have belief systems saying, I don't know if I could do $1 million. Well, that's a belief problem. We've got to fix that so that they can actually get to that $1 million business that they want, right? But we have habits that help them get there. So we're always habit stacking. We're always finding a way to tie our process, our system to a simple habit. If we can replicate those habits over and over again, the fruits are you have a business that thrives.
Amazing. You mentioned that one of these franchises need to have is a proper lead gen system, right? So you guys choose the right lead gen system based on the market, right?
That's right.
Based on, I guess, the budget that they're going to be putting in. So usually what are those lead generation channels that you guys start with or you guys recommend for one of your franchisees?
Yeah, so you have what we refer to as the core 3, which is direct mail, PPC, or online presence in general, which include Facebook, SEO, the whole 9 yards, and then cold calling. We feel like those are done right. You can do cold calling and still be in compliance and still provide a great service. And then the other 2 are obviously people raising their hand. They're actually reaching out to you. So we like that model, focusing on those 3. And then you have the ancillaries that can complement that. You can do, your PPL, is obviously coming on. There's some great strategic partners we have. But we start with the core. You have to go deep with the core strategy. And then with the revenue that you bring in, you add the ancillary strategies. And then ultimately, I believe that the most successful entrepreneurs in this space are consistent and they're diversified, meaning that they have multiple marketing channels working in their favor. But you can't start there. You can't go. I mean, not everybody can start at $10,000 or $15,000 per month in each of those 3 core strategies. But so yes, and then market specific. Some markets don't react very well to cold calling or direct mail or whatever the scenario is, and so you capture that data and you make the pivots. But the truth is, so I'm pretty biased on this topic, but acquisitions, sales process, I would actually argue about every marketing channel works in about every market. Sure, there's an ROAS, meaning your return on ad spend will vary. But if you have your sales process dialed in, and if you leverage the Joe sales process, we give you the highest probability for optimizing revenue. And then you make pivots based off of what the marketing channels are yielding you. But I'm convinced the sales process is probably more significant than even the marketing. We found that nearly every marketing channel in any market works if your sales process is dialed in.
Yeah. One thing about what I like about having a franchise or even owning a franchise is that the fact that you are able to tie your success to the strength of a really good brand. And
That's right.
Brand ultimately is what helps you in the long run decrease the cost to acquire a client. Better clients, referrals come to you more naturally, more organic, call it that way. So how are you guys
Thank you for
leveraging-
selling Joe for us right there.
What's
yeah,
that?
my man.
Thank
I'd
you for
say
the Joe
that's the
play.
sales pitch right there. I love it.
It's true.
It's
I mean,
Brand is everything.
think about this right now, for example, and I see this in my services right now as well, and a lot of different colleagues see it as well. The last few years have been phenomenal, like running paid ads and like just being able to get someone scheduled on a call and then go through a sales process and then ultimately like close. The ones that do know how to do that. But the problem is that now anyone can put together the same type of product or service. They can like reverse engineer, they can funnel hack it, they can put together something very similar. It starts making the market more saturated with that same thing, but it's not high quality.
Yeah.
And people ultimately get sophisticated seeing the same service and product or offer over and over, where the only thing that ultimately separates you from the competition is going to be brand. And who the founder is or who the owner of that company is, right? And like what that brand actually feels like. So I've actually been putting a lot of effort into creating a lot of YouTube content, for example, so that when the customer journey, whenever the leads see our ads, they've already either seen some sort of organic videos, they've done some sort of consumption of content, and actually Google talks about how it takes about 7 to 11 hours of consumption of content for someone to make a decision, and about 11 touches to actually make them make a decision. Right. And this is data that comes from Google, which means that they know every single stat of click to close. So now we're putting a lot of effort into making them go through this journey. If they see our ad, they also will go to, at some point, to YouTube or Google. But if they do click on the ad, we'll make them go to our organic content, where they essentially start binge watching our stuff, essentially start consuming our content better, indoctrinating with our brand much better. So that has reduced the cost to acquire a client. So this entire funnel essentially helps you have your customers be more primed, warmer. So whenever you're running ads, you're gonna have just a bigger differentiator, and you're gonna be able to close a deal in a simpler way, call it like that. So I've seen that. What do you guys do right now in your brand, in your ads, in everything that you do with everything to make the homeowners have that feel, that effect?
Yeah. One of the big outreaches this year is have an Instagram account for every territory across the nation. And that's managed by us. So we do it for them. We make all the posts for them. Yes, they're going to add their stories, their unique feel, like they're at a closing and someone's going to give a 5-star review or whatever it is, right? All these things have a compound interest, right? Just like Ed Milet, he talks about, there's a point of though where it becomes the compound pounding. Or Kobe Bryant, for example. He says year one, when I wake up at 4 a.m. in the morning and no one else is. Year one, yeah, okay, there's a little bit of a divide. Year two, that divide gets big. Year three, it gets really big. By year four, it doesn't matter what your competition's doing. They can't even catch up because you've had compound pounding now. You've got that big lead that no one can, no matter how much work they do, they cannot come back because you've already had so many years of just that compound pounding, right? Same thing with us. We now have 80 franchises that have all these websites, that have all these Instagram, have all this content, have all these 5-star reviews, and it's just compound pounding. This is what now you look ahead a year from now, the gap's going to get bigger from our competition. You look for 2 years from now, it just gets bigger. And then there's a point where no matter what the competition does, they can't catch up. And it's a beautiful thing because we feel so passionate about our brand and the way we do business that we want people to do business with us. We want them to see the Joe way. We want them to see how we do business different than anyone else. And it's now getting easier because the brand, the name, the image is getting bigger and bigger each and every year.
Alex Ramosi talks about this. Sometimes people's constraints, when you go back to the actual root cause of things, I can't close people. They're giving me all these objections. They're not showing up to the calls. You can start fixing one by maybe a better messaging and reminders, maybe a better sales process and objection handling. But one of the biggest constraints that people don't even think about that should focus on is that it's going to solve everything else. Show up ratio, closing ratio, people picking up the phone, is that they know you.
That's right.
Is that they're sold on you already. They're pre-sold.
That's right.
People are looking you up before you go on their appointment. I don't think many people think about that. If you don't have a presence, we've been trained homes are our number one asset in America. Although that's not true, they believe it's true, and they want to do business with people they love, like, and trust. Well, if you can't be found online, you're already putting a red flag. Like, is this a scam? Like, are you sure this is even someone that buys home?
All right. So this helps you pre-handle any objections that the seller would have talking on the phone.
Right. I mean, yeah,
yes.
you have franchisees that can leverage Google reviews all across the country. They have, and they just, frankly, they come on, even if they're a brand new franchise, they can say, wholeheartedly that they're part of a tribe that they can stand behind because they've witnessed the success and the service and the value that franchisees all across the country are providing. And then now you have, from a brand awareness, you have brokers, realtors, investors, buyers, the awareness that, Joe Home Buyer is a viable, legit, the source out there for sourcing deals. I mean, not only rehabbing, but wholesale, you become a very powerhouse, brand. And that's why we're looking for franchisees that want to be ambassadors of this, because we're selective. There's a lot of people that ask us about becoming Joe Home Buyer franchisees. But frankly, if they're not going to represent and be ambassadors and protect and nurture this brand, it isn't going to work. We make sure that only those that are going to be ambassadors of the name and that brand are those that we work with.
I don't know how you guys are running all your advertising right now. Obviously, I have a company that specializes in disruption marketing, Facebook ads, Instagram, YouTube short ads, TikTok ads. But there's this one thing that actually has helped us prime the leads, get them pre-sold, indoctrinated, and like higher quality ultimately, because they come in more warmed up with better expectations. And it's this one video that is in the landing page, and then it's followed by another video or video sales letter, quote unquote, that is in the thank you page, that essentially answers a few questions that any person would want to kind of know before they ever talk to someone. So it's essentially, who is it that you are? Why should you be trusting us? What's in it for them? How does the entire process work, right? Has this actually...
start to end?
Yeah, start to end. And has this actually worked for someone else, ultimately, right? And then ultimately answers all these different objections that people ultimately would have. It's about 3 to 6 minutes video. And then ultimately may raise the cost of a lead a little bit, maybe a couple cents or dollars, but the conversion of each lead ultimately goes higher.
Yeah.
And I can show you guys the questions, and I actually have a YouTube video that talks about this. But with putting that video, there's a shorter version of this, explaining essentially what we can do for people and then the type of offers that we'll be able to give in the first landing page, and then in the thank you page, video sales letter that ultimately goes about and pre-sells people on the brand. That has increased our conversion ratio. We went from essentially closing at 16% on our business to now closing for the same type of person to 22%. So it increased our conversion ratio. And for the right appointment setter and closer that can leverage that type of information, ultimately helps them close more deals. So that's one thing that, if you guys would like to get a nugget, it's this essentially credibility video package that essentially people go through and landing page.
Another way to build love, like, and trust, right?
Exactly.
I love that.
Which the beautiful thing about that is that you can also send that to them as soon as they come in on an email and a text message, so that they have it. They have that.
It's almost like FAQs is what you're saying, just in a video version.
Yes, 100%, but ultimately removes any type of hesitation, any type of objection that will come up, any type of doubt.
Ah, nice.
It also creates that pain-based and desire-based type of gap. That usually your common customer profile would have, and create doubt that I don't have this, I'm not able to solve this if I don't have them, if I don't get into the conversation, because obviously sometimes you can generate a lead, but it's hard for them to pick up the phone, right? It's hard for them to show up to the appointment. But if they consume this in a very easy way, again, it all comes down to indoctrination. Now, you can do as much work on Google and have all these Google reviews, but if people are not able to see it, believe it, and then ultimately take it in, it's also very hard. So there's many formats that you can actually deliver that information. I'd be happy to show you guys kind of like what we do.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and obviously we have and in that landing page, there's essentially a testimonial overload.
Yeah.
Because if you haven't gone to these sellers and asked them for a video testimonial or a case study to use it on paid ads, you're leaving a lot of money on the table. You're leaving referrals out. So that means that you think that they don't have anyone else to refer to. I mean, you're talking with like older individuals. They probably have friends that they're going through similar situations.
Yeah.
But also use that for the marketing, right? You're able to create video content for it, retargeting ads for it, ultimately put them into your website. So a Google review reactivation campaign, a case study reactivation campaign where we actually tell them, hey, we can give you guys a gift card to, I don't know, Starbucks, whatever, of $100. And you guys can be part of the contest that we're going to do when you guys do this for us, right? If you haven't not reactivated anyone. Some people will do it as a favor because they, did a good job. But like if people are not actually asking for this and then putting it into a landing page where there's an overload of this into your website, in the emails follow-ups that you have, and using those third-party stories during the conversation, like you're just leaving money on the table, right? You can convert much more by having this type of authoritative credibility, social proof.
Agreed.
Ultimately.
Agreed.
Yeah, very good.
Solid.
But so I love to. I don't know if we had enough time here. I know you guys have another podcast.
Yeah, I can't remember what. I love these podcasts. They get going. Yeah, we probably got to start wrapping it up. But I think the overarching thing, Esteban, is real estate proves to be just seriously an incredible vehicle for wealth creation. It's an incredible vehicle for connecting with great people. I think some of the best people I've met, it's so interesting when they're like, yeah, I do real estate, or yeah, I'm in real estate. Yeah, I'm investing. Yeah, I'm in developing, right? And I've met so many great people that are in this space. And there are people that push me and test me to become better myself. And there's always someone bigger than you in this game. That's the other thing I love is there maybe I don't know if it's all industries, but there's some industries where you go and you feel like you're the top dog. I don't ever want to be the top dog, ever. I want to be the one that I'm the nobody in the room looking up at the top dogs. That's when I know I'm in the right room. And I know I can find that in real estate always. And that's hopefully what we can be for many of the individuals that are trying to go to the next level. Is they look at us as, hey, I want to trade them places. I want to be in their spot. And to that, I say, book a call. Let's see how it looks, and we'd love to talk and see what it looks like.
So you heard that right. If you're interested about the Joe Homebuyer methods and the franchise model, you guys can book a call. It's going to be in the description below. If you guys are listening in Spotify or Apple Podcast, or even you're on YouTube, just subscribe to the channel, give us a thumbs up. And it only takes about 60 seconds or less to actually give us a review and share it to someone else. The franchise model is one of the best models that you can actually think about, because to build a brand, it actually takes years and years of effort. I've personally built a brand around myself and the companies that I've created. For example, Remote Latinos is a big brand, but it is a lot of time. It's a lot of effort. If you don't know what you're doing, if you're not consistent every single day, you're just building a website. You're not building an actual brand, right? Yeah. So Joe the Homebuyer has this power of helping you convert more leads into deals by just being a brand, having you get help on the conversion part by giving you an actual process and operationalize all your business, because they have a proven way to increase your revenue, get higher profits, scale your team, ultimately build out an actual team. And that's why it's an incredible thing to say.
Esteban, there was one thing I was going to say. I forgot. We built out at thejoeway.com. We wanted to give a free giveaway to your audience. It's for our 5 steps of negotiation. This is the unique identifier of how to make it through year 1, year 3, and make it to year 10. Negotiation is a huge part of it. So if your audience goes to thejoeway.com, they can just enter in their information and they can have
thejoeway.com.
Our whole process on our 5 steps of negotiation and how you follow these things to a T. But when you do these things, right, it leads you to deeper discounts, better deals, and then there's accompanying videos that instruct you through step by step that 5 steps of negotiation. We want to make sure your audience had hands on that.
I love that. I do have a question that now came up, and it might be a little bit controversial, but I always tell people, if you don't know sales or you suck at sales, learn the skill and then delegate after. But I heard from you that you can come into Joe Homebuyer and there's a method to hire someone to replace you from doing that thing, because you might not be a salesperson. That's right. And it might take some time to gain that skill. What's your thoughts on that?
I have a strong opinion on this. So you do have to develop the skill so that you're dangerous, so that you can at least coach and have some leadership behind it. Because there are some people that their behavior, they just get energy from, I think of the predictive index, for example. It's a behavioral assessment. And it essentially identifies those that get energy from the hunt, from exerting influence, from getting the close, right? Getting a contract signed. And there's others that it's actually draining, because it's more for them, collaborative type sales is better, going to the golf course and promoting a product and that type of thing, and you just kind of bounce ideas. That's a different type of sales. As it relates to acquisitions and exerting influence and getting a contract signed, it does require a certain framework of behavior that gives you energy. And if that's not you, we still encourage you to develop the initial awareness and capacity, but we need to get you into a seat within the organization where you're going to be energized and not depleted with your daily energy. So you were right in saying that you've got to have a certain level of capacity that you've got to acquire, but you're never going to thrive if it's not you. And we identify that, help you identify that, and get you in the right seat.
That's amazing. So you guys help with the recruitment?
Yes. Help with the hiring process, help with all that fun stuff.
Internally, or do you guys work with different recruiters or so?
Internally, we do that.
Internally, nice. Yeah. Well, I'm going to announce a new product that we actually been working on in this podcast. I haven't announced it, but because we have a recruitment company and we actually built a really good recruitment system. We've hired over 1,500 people in the last 2 years.
Yep.
For clients. And so hundreds of people and thousands of just candidates that we've helped, people that are now working. So if it works in a remote setting, virtual setting in Latin America, and people have this need of finding salespeople also in the United States, and we can just plug and play the systems that we have and find closers. We call it huntclosers.com. Why can't we provide that to real estate investors? So now we have launched this company called Hunt Closers, or this product called Hunt Closers that, I believe we just need to separate the company. But huntclosers.com will be a company that helps you hire acquisition managers. Not only acquisition managers, but just closers themselves.
Yeah.
Like they're going to be able to help you close deals. They have experience in high ticket, work in real estate too. They could come from different sectors, but at the end of the day, we want them to match with what you're looking for, because sometimes it's more of a headhunting job where we need to specifically, get it from another company, not one of your competitors, something like that,
Yep.
or from another industry, and
Yep.
they're like high performers. But it could also be a disposition manager, because disposition managers also closes deals with buyers, right? So we actually launched this product, and we've been testing it inside of the Nick Perry seven-figure cartel, and he's building a virtual team right now. He's already hired maybe 6 people with us already.
Yep.
And he's scaling up his operations.
That's awesome.
A lot for anyone that is listening to this. First, download the, what was it? The link again?
joeway.com. It's the 5
joeway.com.
steps of negotiation. The same
5
steps we use and teach religiously at Joe Homebuyer.
5 steps of negotiation. I love to check it out, actually. I love to actually learn from you guys, because I love learning sales. Sales is based on personality, on styles, is so different.
Yeah.
I can always pick and choose and grab different things from different places. That's amazing. All right. Thank you guys for coming to this podcast.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
It was great.
Yeah, thank you.
What's next for Joe Homebuyer?
Man, just get
Onward
after
and
it.
upward, my friend. Onward and upward.
That's right.
Okay, but how are we gonna scale this to 200 locations,
Yeah.
or what's the next?
Yeah, strategic partnerships. So we've been working heavily with big industry names. You got Brent Daniels at Wholesaling Inc. that sends us quite a few clients every year, for example. Jerry Norton with Flipping Mastery. He has 10 franchises that he owns.
Oh, wow.
And he's sending people our way because he
Huge.
loves the system so much. So not only are we partnering with great people that are referring us, those big names themselves are leveraging Joe for themselves and becoming Joe Homebuyer franchise owners themselves, which has been really cool. So we'll continue down that path with all the big names out there. You'll see them continually getting one step closer to putting on Joe Homebuyer hats and promoting Joe, because it is something power. It is something I believe will be the biggest home buying company in the United States.
I love that. All right, thank you for listening to this podcast episode. How can people find you guys again?
joehomebuyer.com. And then also you can go to either one of our Instagrams. You can go to Cody Hofhine, Stube Fam, right? Or
right.
just go to Joe Homebuyer Franchising. That's also where we put all of our content on Instagram.
Love that. So people can still contact the founders.
That's right.
CEOs.
Heck
and
yes.
co-founders.
We want to be involved.
Love that. Thanks, man. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.